you have come to the place where you can learn to harness the power of intention, to create subconscious beliefs that serve you, and to gain insights that allow you to create a life, personally and professionally, that you desire. This is the place where you leverage your subconscious mind and design your destiny. Join me now, your host, Penny Chason. Hello there. Coming at you today from my walk because I'm in the process of processing something myself. And as we grow and shift our thoughts, our perceptions, our beliefs of who we are, what we're capable of, what it is that we're here to do, we outgrow things. We may outgrow partnerships. We may outgrow relationships, or maybe just certain aspects of relationships. We may find ourselves in a place where we are looking at something in our lives and not feeling aligned with it, not feeling like it is a fit anymore. And it's not because anything within that is good or bad, right or wrong. There just comes a moment where there is a divergence of probably maybe values, a divergence of thinking, an evolution in roles that need to be played. And we have to hit that reset button. Not that we can reset, just that we have to reflect and decide what's best for us in that moment. Now, I'll be honest, I think I may have mentioned this before in the past. So if this is a repeat, it's because it's worth repeating. But growth is uncomfortable. We can't stay in the same place that we are and grow at the same time. And that looks different for all of us. I don't know what it looks like for you. I'm surprised by what it looks like for me right now, because it is a mirror into which I'm looking at this moment. And what I recognize is I've reached a point in my growth that if I'm to continue growing, there's something that I have to move past. There's something that I have to let go. And while, this had been okay for a while, it's not anymore. Because my shift, my focus, my goals, the way that I know that I need to show up in life, and my decision that this is an unbreakable standard for me now. Unbreakable standard, I'll talk about that in a minute. That was a phrase I was introduced to last year. But there are certain aspects that have become an unbreakable standard for me. And what I'm breaking away from is a reflection of who I used to be. But I've reached this point that if I'm going to move forward, if I'm going to take the next step, I have to break away from this reflection of me, because it's holding me back. Because our environment, our partnerships, our relationships, we reach a point where we have to be congruent. We have to be on the same page to some extent. And it was interesting to me when I got into the online world, into business, and people talking about, Myers-Briggs, Gallup StrengthsFinder, all of these things in choosing team. in choosing how you partner with people when you JV, or joint venture, if you're unfamiliar with that term. And this has all been one big learning and growth experience. But most important, it has been a series of choices. And the choices aren't always easy, even when they are cut and dried. Circling back to unbreakable standard. When you come to a point that you decide that something is or isn't going to be a certain way in your life or in your business, and it becomes that unbreakable standard, you give it the status of an unbreakable standard. Sorry if I'm getting winded, I'm walking up a big hill. When you make the choice that it is that unbreakable standard, then you're not going to violate that standard. You're saying, this is the bar. This is what I do. So I'm just curious, for you, in your life, in your business, what are some of your unbreakable standards? And as you change those unbreakable standards, as you grow, as you move forward, as you take on the new ways of being that allow you to be committed, disciplined, responsible, focused, compassionate, whatever it may be, to move your life forward, to create what you want. And this isn't just in business. This is in our life too. You know, an unbreakable standard can be a boundary. It just doesn't have to be about actions or, tasks towards goals and that type of thing. But what unbreakable standards do you have in your life? And how can that concept help you to grow in your life, to help you elevate who you are? And if you were already aware of this concept, or if you had implemented this type of thinking but didn't necessarily call it an unbreakable standard, then as you grew and you changed, how did that affect the relationships in your life, the relationship with your job, your boss, your spouse, significant other, partner, children? When we change, our outside world changes because it's reflected back to us. And it's that type of awareness, that type of looking inward and reflecting that helps us to realize, to recognize, to know where we need to make adjustments to move forward, and we can make a choice at that point. This certain situation, circumstance, whatever it may be, that was so closely connected to your past. Are you going to choose to allow that to continue to hold you back? Or are you going to choose to reframe or change the boundaries of that relationship or set of circumstances? Or are you just going to break away from it so that you can continue on your path to do what you need to do, to show up how you need to show up, to create what it is that you want in your life? Because no matter who we are, no matter what we're doing, unless we are sitting in stagnation, these are things that are going to happen. And sometimes we can begin to feel at odds. We can feel uncomfortable. And we may not necessarily know exactly what is causing that. And in my experience, and again, this is just my experience, not a coach, I'm a hypnotist, but in my experience of being coached and reflecting back, just see where in the past I've experienced certain things so I can learn and grow, not to ruminate in the past because that does not serve us. I found that there are two situations that can cause us to have this discomfort. And that is when we're growing and evolving beyond our relationships and our situations. And we have to find a way that we can be at peace and honor the people that we're in a relationship for who they are and where they are in that moment. Or decide it's time to move beyond those things. Or it's because we're uncomfortable because we find ourselves in this uncomfortable situation and we continue to repeat the same cycles over and over with something in our life, be it behaviors, habits, ways of thinking, and we continue to repeat that over and over. And what we end up getting is frustration because nothing's changing, because we're looking in the wrong place to correct that issue. We may be looking outside to others to fix our problem. We may be thinking that, the world is such a way that it's impossible for us to do what we want, and that is simply not true. The world and things going on in it, who certainly, can't control everything, but we can control how we choose to respond. We can choose how we think. We can choose whether or not we see opportunity or we see a roadblock. We can choose to see 2020 as a complete cluster, and the only reason I even say that is I saw someone had posted that on Facebook today, and it was one of those things where when I read the comments, it would have been nice if I could have reached out and said something to shift the way that person was thinking, but based on the comments and their replies, this person was stuck in their thinking that 2020 was a total cluster. And I know 2020 has not been a year of growth for some people. For them, it may have been a year of loss of many things, but how we choose to look at it and the opportunities that it presents us and our willingness to look at those opportunities is something else. So it was just kind of rough to look at that, but when I looked at the comments, I could see this person was not in a position, to even hear something lighthearted about, for a lot of people, they're lost their jobs and maybe their kids are at home, and you think about it and it's like, geez, that's really hard. But what is hard? I mean, we could decide that anything is hard or easy, but even as we navigate the difficulties in life, as we grow, as we face challenges that can help us to grow, depending on how we choose to look at it, even if it's hard, even if we're grieving the loss of the things that we wanted to happen during this time. I mean, and that's totally normal. People had plans, they set goals, they had visions, and things have had to adapt and change. And, to have any expectations of certainty in 2020 was most definitely short-sighted for all of us, I think. And to grieve that, whether your family, you're looking at your family situation, your business situation, your social situation, whatever it may be, that's normal. And to grieve that and to have a little bit of sense of loss and sadness. The thing is to move out of it and keep going. And so it is the same with growth. When we get uncomfortable in growth, we need to take a moment, experience what we're feeling, reflect inside and what is the lesson here? What is causing me to feel this way? And to really dive in and understand where the discomfort, the frustration, the misalignment is coming from. And once you uncover that, then you get to decide. You get to make a choice to stay in stagnation and frustration and not move forward, or to make changes and adjustments. I wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you, and that I truly appreciate your listening to the Design Your Destiny podcast. If you would please, head over to iTunes and leave me a positive podcast review if you feel that that's what you would like to do. When we work together, we can reach even more people and spread the knowledge and wisdom that allows us to create the life, not only that we deserve, but that we truly desire. Now back to the podcast. Oh, this little walk has been quite brisk. All this talking, I'm a little out of breath, and we're just going to leave this in here because, you know what, this is real life. And part of what I do is to make sure that I'm not bringing you some specially curated perfectionist podcast, because one, I'm not a perfectionist. Sometimes I do like things just so, but I'm not a perfectionist. And that was a decision that I made. I could stay stuck in perfectionism, or I could move on. When you find yourself in this place where you're growing, you're misaligned, and you reveal, uncover, discover what's creating that misalignment, you get to choose. You get to choose what it looks like as you bring yourself back into alignment. Maybe it's just a shift in boundaries, relationships, vision, your goals, your message, how you show up. Or maybe you have to take drastic action. Or you can choose to stay stuck where you are. And then a year from now, where are you going to be if you don't make that choice? Just think about that. A year from now, if you don't make that choice, where are you going to be? And I'm going to close it out with that. I would absolutely love it if you would head over to iTunes. And if you've enjoyed this episode, leave a positive review. Let me know what you liked about it. And you can head over to Instagram and follow me at penny.chason. And I will be seeing you around, my friend. Bye now. Thanks for tuning in today. I would love it if you would head over to iTunes and leave a positive review about how this episode has helped you to improve your life. When you leave a positive review, it helps us to reach even more people, helping them to change their lives, and that positive energy and vibration of sharing comes back to you as we spread the message of how you can use the power of intention, creating stronger subconscious beliefs, and raising our vibration to create the life that we desire, the one that we're here to truly live so that we can fulfill our purpose in life. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.